We're going to throw some numbers out there today that are going to a couple $1,000,000, $5 million, $6 million.
By the way, this is like the craziest story I've ever heard because, like, there's no reason.
12 million, $14 million, $20 million account. What kind of strategies?
Call spreads are a much safer strategy, I would say, in this market.
Yeah, the zero DT.
Right. That's probably majority of my trades.
That's 2023, the beginning.
Right.
You made 40% return, which is like, $5 million. Those are amazing returns. All right. Hello, everybody. We are back. It's another Rising Star segment. Today, I think you guys are going to love this one. Azar, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I know you've been to Chicago before, but welcome back to Chicago.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to call you Doc because
Yes, sir.
that's what you are, and that's your nickname, and I found that out, so I feel good about that, and it's easy. So Doc, welcome, and to the Rising Star segment. And your story is fascinating because you're kind of you're a trading junkie, but you're also a serial entrepreneur,
Right.
and so you're kind of like a little bit of man after my own heart. And I love your story. And I think people are going to, they're really going to think this is amazing. And we're going to throw some numbers out there today that are they're going to freak you out a little bit because it's good. And I like the fact that you're not scared to share everything with us.
I'm not.
In the last 2 weeks, the markets have been crazy.
Right.
When you see markets like this that have been choppy, a pretty decent sized sell off, 6-7%, what kind of strategies? What's the first thing that goes through your head strategically? Like, what kind of strategies are you employing?
Right. So it is a good time to sell premium.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the call spreads are like a much safer strategy, I would say, in this market. But of course, also cognizant of the fact that you can get a melt up pretty quickly, like tried to happen last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably happens somewhat the Friday before. So you have to be careful, obviously. But I think selling premium, obviously, that's what I do. And in this market, especially when we have the markets dropping, you can sell premium on the call side, but you have to be careful, very careful.
What underlyings do you use?
So I do two kinds of trades.
Mm-hmm.
I do the SPX trades for the daily trade.
Yeah, the zero DT.
Right. That's probably majority of my trades on an active basis.
Okay.
I also follow all the liquid, the top 50 that most of the tasty trade, people use,
Mm-hmm.
which are the most liquid. They have the tighter markets.
Sure.
Like the Mag 7, crude oil, some of the futures.
How many positions do you think you have on at any one time?
I have the total different kinds would be like 100.
100.
100 at one time.
100 different underlyings
Yes.
and multiple positions in those.
Some of them have multiple positions.
So that sounds like me. And multiple positions in those. Some 60-70% equity and maybe 20-30% futures and futures options.
Yes, that's
And you're
about right.
pretty indifferent to product,
Yes,
as long as it's liquid.
Yes, as long as the liquid and there's a market for it, tight markets.
How much of your capital do you use?
Well, I'd like to do the effective money management now.
Okay.
And now that the VIX is higher than 25,
Yeah.
I like to leave at least 30% dry powder at all times.
Okay.
I like to keep it less, I like to keep more than that. I feel better when I have 50% open.
50%, you mean you're using 50%?
Right.
Okay.
Or I have 50% available.
Yeah, sure.
But sometimes it is less than that.
Okay.
But in the higher VIX environment, I think 40 to 50% dry powder is what I think we should have.
Right. So let's say you kept about 50% of your buying power. Now, here's the fun part, because as we're talking right here, I'm just trying to kind of set the stage, but 50% of your buying power is still right now, about $14 million.
Yes.
Okay. So now you get a sense of the size of the positions that we're talking about, because you're using, almost $14 million for 50% of your buying power and put over 100 different positions. So this is a large account with a lot of trades and a lot of capital committed and a lot of risk.
Right.
How much of these positions is how much are defined risk positions like call spreads and stuff?
Sure.
And how much are naked?
I think more than 50% is naked.
Okay.
I would say 60% is naked.
Yeah, that's probably what I would figure. So 60% naked. So this is a huge commitment to the market, which would all make a ton of sense given the success you've had. But I first should preface this by saying the last 2 years with these kind of numbers, which the account has obviously grown a lot, you're up 40% a year in 23 and 24. And I don't have the 25 numbers yet, but we'll get into that a little bit. But I'm even going to go one more wilder step. You have a full-time job.
Yes, sir. I am a full-time pain physician, and I still work full-time. But
By the way, to traders, that's a very difficult thing. Full-time pain physician can mean you're taking care of your own trading pain.
right,
But your back pain.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. But I have my own practice,
Uh-huh.
and I can use time management, which I use around the market. So we start early, but I can always manage my cases in a way that I have time, like in the mornings before market opens for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour sometimes. Then I have some time at lunch. Of course, I'm watching the market. Even when I'm doing procedures, after procedures, I do procedures which are short in duration.
I don't think it's good to do procedures with the market.
No.
Uh,
Well, I
yeah.
can't legally do that.
Okay, good. Thank God.
Right. But I don't, most of the time, I don't need to watch it all
Right,
the
sure.
time. But I do time management, and I also keep some time towards the end of the day. I also have this routine that in the evening, I can review all of my orders, which I executed that day,
Mhm.
and do like a back test, sort of replay in my head
Okay.
of, what I was thinking,
Sure.
why I did this trade and how it went. And then, I'm doing like the 45-day strategies on my options, and I know that I have to roll some of the positions. Some of them I can queue up at night, which can execute the next morning when market opens.
Just give me a little background. You went to med school in Pakistan.
Yes.
You moved to the U.S. 30 years ago.
Yes.
Became a U.S. citizen. You've been an anesthesiologist and now a pain specialist.
Yes.
You're obviously been crazy successful in your professional career, and own car dealerships and lots of other things. I don't even need to get into it, but and then all of a sudden, you kind of have this. Either you're a crazy workaholic or you have this appetite for risk that's a little outsized. Which is it? Both?
I think it's fair for both, but probably is because that I like to hold myself to a higher standard, meaning that I like to see if I can accomplish something. So whether it is a skill, and I think of trading as a skill.
Sure.
So when I first stumbled into it, I made some initial mistakes, and I lost some money. And the two choices then were that I could quit. And, a lot of people do, which is fine. But I was lucky enough that I had some capital that I was able to deploy after I had the bad experience. And then I went back and I wanted to work on developing strategies that would be successful, not necessarily for the account size or the profit loss, but to prove to myself that I could do it in a way that it made sense.
So you're just somebody that loves challenges.
I really do.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. So let's give a little history to everybody. Even though you made your first trade when you were in med school, by hand paying cash, in Pakistan, which I don't really know anything about the exchanges there. But you really started to get involved in trading in the U.S., let's say almost around like 2020-ish, 2021,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
21.
21, which is a little bit later in life.
It
You know,
is.
you're almost 50.
It is.
Right. At the time.
Sure.
And so you're thinking, what was I missing out on? Or, this looks interesting.
Right.
I mean, you're obviously a numbers geek, very quantitative, very mathematical, but was it the math challenge? Was it the probabilistic challenge? Was it the risk challenge? What was it that brought you into trading when you're, almost 50?
Right. So almost everything else that I do,
Yeah.
I have to depend on other people to do their job, which
Okay.
which is, there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
It's
sure.
a team sport. All businesses are teams. But I realized that this was the only thing in which the only person who could mess up would be me. So with that comes the responsibility, but also the sense of the accomplishment that if you're successful, you can give yourself the full credit.
So you own everything. You own it. I mean,
Right. You own the bad and the
yeah,
good.
you own the good and the bad. Right.
So that was part of it.
Okay.
And then with the like with the Tasty Trade platform, you being so easy to use on your cell phone, it is so handy. You can be on
Yeah.
vacation, you can be on a cruise, anywhere. You still are able to check on your accounts, execute your trades, and
So you start in 2021 and you're kind of messing around with, I don't know what you originally started with money wise, but you're testing you're putting your toe in the water and testing things, and you're mostly just trading stock.
right. I was just doing stocks.
Yeah. You survived the pandemic,
Right.
or you might have started after the pandemic,
Right.
and you survived it all. You make a little money. You think, hey, you know what? This is like it was back in Pakistan. Like I just go buy some stocks. They go higher. It's
Sure.
easy. This is a piece of cake.
Right.
And then 2022 rolls around, and now let's just, because I want to get the numbers right, because this is kind of important. You start with a couple $1 million,
Sure.
$3 million. Sure. You're a confident soul. That's a good, like, I'm getting in, that's no excuses. That's a real number.
Right.
So you start with a couple $1 million, and you trade really well, and you whatever you were doing was working, and you get the number up to $6 million. You make $3 million. Sure. Basically doubles your money. At that point, you think you're a freaking genius.
I thought it was too easy.
Too easy. It wasn't fair. How is everybody not doing this?
Right. And obviously, I was not following the money management
Nope.
and the risk techniques.
Why should you?
You guys teach?
Why should you, though?
Right. I thought I had it figured out.
Right,
I had
of
a
course.
technique.
Right. So then what happened in the end of 2022? You said it was around August, right?
Right. It was a Fed speech day,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a very big outside position on the market,
Okay.
and I actually went to do a procedure. And half an hour later, I came out, and the market had dropped, I think, 1.5%.
Uh-huh.
And I was just paralyzed. I could not believe it. And I did not use preemptive, defensive techniques that I would do now.
And your position was too big.
It was too big. It was too big.
So genius failed.
Big time. It was spectacular.
Yeah. Genius failed spectacularly. Yes. Got it. So at that point, you lost, you were up 3 million, and then you lost 4 million.
Yes.
Okay. So now you're back down you're down $1 million.
Right.
We always have a saying in this business when we were floor traders, and it was make $1 million, lose $1 million, down $1 million. Like nobody could figure that out, but it's like, that's how this industry works. So you make 3 million, you lose 4 million, you down $1 million, but you're really down more than that. Cause of course, yeah.
Psychologically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's brutal. So at that point, you have to build your confidence back.
Right. Well, I had a choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
I could have walked away,
Mm-hmm.
but I just thought about it, and I am otherwise blessed. So even though I lost some money,
Sure. But why do you want to torture yourself? I mean, you're a successful physician. You own a bunch of car dealerships. You got all this stuff going on. Like life is good. You are living the American dream.
I am,
Yeah.
and I'm very blessed. But I also believe that the biggest risk is not taking any.
Sure.
So I wanted to be successful at this.
And it bothered you that you lost a little money.
It really bothered. I'm
You're very competitive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you did what?
Well, I had the opportunity, like I was I was liquidating some other businesses,
Mhm.
and I had some capital come in.
Okay.
And against all advice from family and friends, I I I just doubled down on my trading.
Were you married at the time?
I was.
Okay. And how'd that go over?
Actually, I have to give credit to my wife. She's my biggest supporter.
Oh, good.
When I was really upset,
Yeah.
and she said, "No, I trust you. I believe you. I think you can do it."
Love it. That's great. And then so you deposited about $10 million.
Right.
And so now you're at 12 million
Right.
and you're like, I'm going for it. That's,
for it.
by the way, this is like the craziest story I've ever heard because like there's no reason to put that much money in, but you did.
I did.
And you committed that much money to the markets, that much money because you obviously believed in yourself. That's a lot of confidence. And that's 2023, the beginning.
Right. But I was very cautious though in my trading after that.
Yeah, because you had the rest of 2022 to kind of figure things out. And yeah. And in 2023, being a little more cautious, being a lot smart about things, you made 40% return, which is like, $5 million.
Right.
That's impressive
Thank you.
because 2023 was the year that we started to bounce back a little bit.
Right. We did.
22 was the sell-off, and 23 we started to bounce back a little bit.
Right.
So you must have leaned a little long delta.
I did.
Yeah.
I did because what I learned from the past was that I cannot expect the market to do what I think it should do. I have to recognize what's in front of me.
Right.
The market was going up, so I had to go long deltas at that
Right.
time.
So you long a little bit of delta, and most of your long delta came from short put spreads.
Yes. Sir.
Okay. And were you doing any like longer durations? They can't just all be 0 days. It had to be some,
No. I was doing 45 days
yeah, 40,
strategy
okay.
that you guys
Yeah.
teach, and
Were you managing early?
yes,
Okay.
I'm guilty of like managing too early.
That's okay.
Right.
That's a high class problem.
Right. But no, the 45 days and even longer sometimes gives you a little bit of flexibility, and
Yeah.
there's more time to be right. So that helps.
A lot more wiggle room. And I'm just kind of fast forwarding here. So that's an amazing year. What's 2023? You make $5 million. Your investment obviously paid off, 40% return. You're thinking to yourself. Now you also have a successful practice, which you're still full-time doing. But now you're fully bitten by the bug.
I am.
You're locked in.
There's nothing else.
Okay. So 2024 rolls around and so now your account goes from 12 million to let's say 17 million. Now you add some more money to your account because you sold another business to whatever. And at that point in 2024, now, it gets harder. The more money you have in your account.
It is.
So when you make $5 million on a $12 million account, but on a $20 million account to make, 40%, you have to, it's even more challenging
It is.
because you got to put on more positions. You got to scale up your size. And then somehow you made almost, $8 million or whatever the number was exactly, but it was close enough the next year in 2024.
Right.
Those are amazing returns.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
It is. It is mind-boggling. I have to try not to think about it that way. Just
Does anybody else in the world know this? Or
they will know now.
no, yeah, that's right. But did you tell your kids or anything?
Well, they're finding out now.
Oh, that's kind of got to be just an incredible feeling because it's not easy. I mean, I can't even begin to stress how hard this is. It's not, none of this is easy. They don't give you anything. There's no edge. There's no negative edge, but there's no edge. You have to earn every dollar of that 8 million or every dollar of the 2 years, whatever it is, 12, 13, 14 million total, whatever. You have to earn every single penny of that.
Yes, sir. And I try to think of like every day is a new day.
Yeah.
So when the market opens at 8, like 8:30 for me, like for you guys.
Yeah.
It's a blank slate, and you
Yeah.
just gotta prove your worth that day to do what's right, to make the right decisions. And when the things go against you, you have to use your risk management strategies to to mitigate it and to get out sometimes. Sometimes you just have to take a loss.
First of all, how's 2025 going?
2025 is going really well.
That's great.
Yes.
But even this down move, you're okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What's been your worst drawdown in the last 2 years? Since the beginning of 2023.
Not very significant because I've been really lucky the last 2 years, and it's been like I've had very positive returns. So I may have had a couple of 100,000 here and there, but overall it's been very positive.
Do you know what percentage of your trading profits have come from like the 0 DTs versus the 45 days?
I think it's 60% 0 DTEs.
So it's very high.
It is high.
So when you do the 0 DTs, how have you been so successful?
Well, it may seem counterintuitive in this, like the bull market that we had.
Yeah.
But what I seen in my observation is that the market can drop 100 points in 5 minutes sometimes,
Sure.
but it normally does not melt up 100 points in 5 minutes. So even in a positive day when the market is going up, if I look at the appropriate resistance levels, expected move, and some of the JEX levels and like dealer flow, you can do call spreads out of the money or like at the appropriate levels, and you can like I put my trades in the like at the first minute when the market opens with the max volatility to get the most of the premium.
Mhm.
And most of the time I'm able to close them within 2 hours. So I don't hold anything to
No, because it wouldn't.
right
Yeah.
because it gets so risky as you guys teach. So I think that if you just play the volatility crush, you can you can be profitable on call spreads even.
How wide are your call spreads?
I normally do 10 wide,
10 wide.
but I try to go like above the resistance level and like above the expected move for the day.
Now, is this mostly SPX you're talking about?
Yes.
When you do this, mostly SPX.
SPX.
Yeah. How many contracts are you trading?
I'm doing a few thousand contracts total, but I don't do all of them at the same time.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
I kind of leg into those.
Yeah.
But I also have learned to follow the like the dealer flow and the volume indicators in real time on SPX. In that way, you can get a good idea of what at what levels the open interest is and the big positions are.
Okay.
And then, as you know, that, the big levels, if there's a lot of activity at like 6,000, and even if the market gets to 6,000, all of those calls are now in the money. So, the people start selling those. And then the dealer has to stay neutral, and then they have to sell the underlying. So those at those big levels with the major open interest, they can act as the resistance.
So it's kind of a classic old pin risk game with, I mean, it's an age-old approach to.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
No.
But it's new to me.
Yeah.
But the idea is to just sell into volatility at the start of the day, and to try to get out for whatever you can get out of the market and not hold in the air.
I mean, you can't argue against the success that you've had. So, the challenge is that as you continue to, as your stuff continues to grow, your account continues to grow, it's just gets a little harder.
It does.
But that's, again, a challenge for you, which is what you seem to like the best. So that's the most fascinating part. Are Are you trading any equities? You mentioned before that you traded, you have 100 different underlyings on, but when you stick with the equities and the most liquid ones, is it the same approach? Like if you're trading, for example, NVIDIA or Tesla or, whatever else it is, Google,
Right.
Amazon, are you taking kind of the same approach? I mean, obviously not in the dailies, but is it kind of the same approach? And if you do something like, for example, crude oil or nat gas or, or bonds,
Right.
are you same approach?
Yes, it's the same approach. I have an account in which I have a charitable LLC.
Yeah.
In which it is like the trust account.
Yeah.
So I can only do covered calls and buy and sell stocks in that one because we have to have a certain amount.
Yeah.
So on those, I find the most like I'm finding the most liquid of the stocks.
Yeah.
Like the major ones that you described, and most of them have they have good volatility too, so I can sell premium.
Yeah.
So even if they're not dividend stocks,
Sure.
I can set covered calls. Of course, that does limit the upside sometimes, but that's a good way to I can generate income in that account with those.
So what now?
So I opened a small hedge fund,
Okay.
like a family office.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. So mainly myself and my family members' money.
Sure.
And I'm doing that as a challenge that I want to be able to show that if it is formally set up as a hedge fund,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of returns I can show.
Because you want to do what? Because this is something you think that, this is the next stage of your life possibly, or, it's always just going to complement your medical career.
No, sir. I think I enjoy this more now. So I'm thinking about possibly, closing my medical practice at some point when I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And when I can prove to myself that I can do this full time,
Uh-huh.
and then I would like to manage the hedge fund and do this full time.
You're young. You got a lot of time left. You've got a lot of, I could appreciate the ambition and the independence. I kind of think the same way, It's such an interesting story because a lot of times when we do Rising Star segments, people come on and they're like, everybody always asks me, well, how much money are they trading with, or how much money they make? Because, when you make 40% on a big number, it's very meaningful about what this business, what opportunities are out there.
Yes, sir. It is I think this is very profitable, and even if people are trading smaller amounts, if they can follow the right strategies, the tasty trade way of trading,
Yeah.
I think that everybody can really they can really augment their income, even the work.
Well, they can definitely try. It doesn't work for everybody, but they can definitely try. And it's such an inspiring story because it's, because you're kind of a hardcore, very independent, hardcore entrepreneur. And I love the story because you absolutely put your money where your mouth is. I mean, you walk the walk, that's the whole thing. Talk the talk, walk the walk. And you did it. Thank you so much, Doc. That was
Thank you
just,
so much, sir.
that was a lot of fun. It's a great story. Hope everybody enjoys it. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.